Channels television event.
Of ad hoc and overgeneralized institutional explanations that confuse cause and effect as well as ends and means. It is obvious that where states have failed or at war, there is very little economics has to offer as solutions. The Nigerian pension reform narrative can be situated within the context of Africa's economic resurgence after the lost quarter of a century. Indeed, from operating the old defined benefit system that had well over 2 trillion naira as in deficit as the dusk of the last century, the new contributory pension scheme that was kick-started in 2004 now has over 5 trillion in just less than 10 years of operation. A key feature of the CPS is the institutionalization of risk-based regulation as a means of engendering the long-term sustainability of the pension industry. Sustainability on this core encapsulates the troika of social, environmental, and economic dimensions of development. Regulatory strategies will thus encompass a painstaking consideration of risks, as well as the rewards that lie behind endogenous opportunities. The impact of poor corporate governance practices on shareholder value, exacerbated by the recent global financial crisis, for instance, has raised issues such as transparency, risk management, business ethics, amongst others, to the front burner of the regulatory agenda. Then again, issues of unemployment, diseases, poverty, climate change, and inequality are also pressing needs for regulators to consider in mapping their regulatory landscape. This novel approach to regulatory oversight, sustainable regulation, is one that overtly acknowledges the importance to institutional regulators of environmental, social, and governance factors, and the long-term stability of financial markets, especially the pension industry. It recognizes that creation of a long-lasting return on pension assets is essentially dependent on transparent, predictable, and well-governed environmental and economic systems that are underpinned by clearly defined prudential regulatory guidelines. Unsurprisingly, pension fund managers all over the globe are changing mandates to reflect considerations of sustainable investment, and consequently, the growth of the ESG mandates in the overall investment strategy is on the rise. Nonetheless, many regulators still require further education on how they should quantify performance and assess the extent to which ESG mandates are delivered upon. Sustainable regulation precepts thus constrain stakeholders in pension fund administration to critically assess the full spectrum of investment and regulatory risks, opportunities and challenges, and so as to adequately allocate capital in a mode that is aligned with the short, medium, and long-term interests of their clients, beneficiaries, and the larger society. As a regulator, the National Pension Commission continuously strives to remain at the cutting edge in mainstreaming sustainability strategy and practice in the discharge of our statutory remit. In furtherance of our commitment to promoting industry-wide sustainability, we are collaborating with Europe's leading sustainability research center, the Sustainable Business Initiative at the Business School, the University of Edinburgh, United Kingdom, to, amongst other things, develop a set of sustainable pension principles that will set out a minimum standard for entrenching a truly sustainable retirement pension system in the country. In a similar vein, in our quest also to entrench sustainability, introduced this year's summit the concept of Africa Pension Awards. The award seeks to, amongst other things, identify excellence, highlight sustainable achievements, and recognize and engender the homegrown development of the African pension industry. It also seeks an opportunity for African countries to share experiences and best practice in the development of their respective pension industry while fostering positive local and global perceptions. Given the very diverse and dynamic mix of delegates at this summit today, I am confident that we have enough expertise to proffer and evolve a framework for the development of our sustainable systems, pension systems in Africa. Once again, I thank you all for being here. And in declaring this summit open, could we all stand for a minute's silence in honor of the victims of the Yaya Kuje bombing and all victims of terror worldwide. May their souls rest in peace.
Thank you very much, DG, for remembering those whose lives are lost during these insurgent attacks. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, since 2004, when the Pension Act came on board and resulted in the establishment of PENCOM, the organization has continued to evolve and serve Nigerians better. To what extent has its evolution been? In the next 2 minutes, we shall see the new look of PENCOM as an organization on the move. This is the unveiling of the new PENCOM logo.
The National Pension Commission would continue to govern and regulate the administration of the Uniform Contributory Pension Scheme for both the public and private sectors in Nigeria. The National Pension Commission's logo is the external manifestation of the brand. It depicts the Commission's essence and what it hopes to achieve. The colors have been chosen to reflect and represent strength, solidity, and sustainability. Black and shades of gray depicting life as it truly is and not in black and white. The Nigerian coat of arms is embedded in the pillar to represent the organization's firm footing as a fully functioning part of the nation's operations towards enhancing the life of its citizens. It also emphasizes that all the strength and capacity of the nation stands with PENCOM in the discharge of its responsibilities. The rising dark gray pillar represents the active working years of an individual during which pension contributions are made. That is, the accumulation stage. They also symbolize the growth and stability experienced in the pension industry. The even dispersion of the pillars emphasize the fact that pension funds under the Contributory Pension Scheme, CPS, are accumulated in a systematic and predictable manner and can therefore be effectively projected and planned for. The light gray pillars, though declining, represent the bright years of PENCOM and the operator's work to give to all citizens. It is intentionally presented in light gray because, contrary to the traditional perception of people that the latter years of life are the dark years, PENCOM says, no, it doesn't have to be so. Again, the even dispersion of the declining pillars also depicts that pension payouts under the Contributory Pension Scheme is done in a systematic manner, devoid of unforeseen occurrences that could distort the retirees' projections. The grey reflective ribbons wrapped around the pillars with the PENCOM name on it expresses the protective regulatory role of PENCOM throughout the accumulation and payout cycle. All activities under the Contributory Pension Scheme are aligned by PENCOM towards achieving optimal outcomes. PENCOM's commitment to ensuring a stable and regular payment of contributors' pensions.
That's the new face and the new logo of PENCOM. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker is often cited as one of the most insightful readers of the global economy. An economist, strategist, and globalist based in London, who has immense international experience in the financial sector and providing advice to companies, investors, funds, and policymakers in the UK and across the globe. He is the Chief Economic Advisor to Boris Johnson, the Mayor of London, an assignment he took up in 2013. And he has been focusing on key economic and financial issues facing the large city of London. His first book, The Consolations of Economics, was voted as the Book of the Year by Daily Telegraph. Globally compliant, I'd like to welcome to Nigeria and welcome to this podium Dr. Gerard Lyons.